A very good evening to all of you and welcome to a brand new edition of News First Weekend, coming to you live from our News First studios in Colombo. I'm Arjuna Mahendran. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
President pledges to party leaders that the current parliament will enact electoral reforms.
Assurance was given by His Excellency the President.
Central Bank Governor was not directly involved in bond issue. Unusual bidding pattern warrants further investigation. Findings of the three-member committee. Buck Festival in Alpitia ends in clashes. 7 Sri Lankans gained certification from the International Powerboat Association.
President Maithripala has reiterated the government's commitment to strengthen the private sector. The President made this statement at an event held in Colombo this morning.
The President presented awards at this ceremony to 18 vegetable and dairy farmers selected from across the island.
අපේ නව රජයේ රාජ්‍ය ප්‍රතිපත්තිය සියලු අංශවල ශක්තිමත් කිරීම වගේම
While the state policy of our new government is to strengthen all sectors, including public management and administration, the private sector, investment and markets, in this task as a government, we will provide all the empowerment, support and privileges that are required. Given my extensive experience, it is my belief that when it comes to domestic and foreign investment, and given our historical background, we must give priority to agriculture. No matter what domestic or foreign investments are brought in, it is essential that we always maintain a strong local economy that is based on agriculture.
සෑම විටම කෘෂිකර්මාන්තයේ පදනම කරගත් දේශීය ආර්ථිකයක් ශක්තිමත් කිරීම ඉතාමත්ම අත්‍යවශ්‍ය වූ දෙයක්.
An agreement was reached on the draft 19th Amendment to the Constitution at the party leaders' meeting held under the auspices of President Maithripala this morning.
At the meeting, party leaders, including leaders of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, had directed the attention of the President toward electoral reforms. President Maithripala had made a pledge to party leaders that Parliament will only be dissolved after electoral reforms are presented and adopted.
And after much discussion, it was agreed that the government will adhere to the bill that was presented to Parliament and only amend the relevant clauses recommended by the Supreme Court, and any other sections to be deleted will be agreed by with the opposition. And all matters will be taken up as two-thirds voting and not a majority voting in the committee stage. Tomorrow morning, the relevant amendments would be given to the opposition so that Parliament could be adjourned tomorrow for the debate to be taken up on the 21st and the 22nd. 20th Amendment is still in the stage of a proposal, but the draft will be submitted by the government. Assurance was given by His Excellency the President, and thereafter it will be discussed in order to proceed for its passing in Parliament as a bill when it is drafted.
Many of the party leaders gathered today under the auspices of the President. The meeting was about the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. Accordingly, all agreed to adopt it, apart from the sections of the amendment that require referendum and the section which was directed to the Supreme Court. It was decided to take it for debate on the 21st and the 22nd, after the draft bill, which was compiled by the Attorney General's Department, is handed over to the MPs.
අපේ ආරමුණ විධායක ජනාධිපතිකමේ මුළුමනින් අවශ්‍ය කිරීම නම් 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනය තුළ ඒක සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
If our aim is to abolish the executive presidency, then it will not happen through the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. However, we believe that even if the executive presidency cannot be abolished totally, some powers of the executive presidency can be curtailed through this. Therefore, this too is some sort of a victory. It is a huge step on the part of democracy. Accordingly, the JVP will work towards approving the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. We request all parties that represent Parliament to get involved to make the 19th Amendment to the Constitution the amendment which was approved with the support of the entire Parliament.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුව නියෝජනය කරන සියලුම දේශපාලන පක්ෂ වලින් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
மிகவும் வரவேற்கத்தக்க ஒரு திருத்தம்.
This is a proposal that needs to be adopted. The sovereignty of the Parliament is undermined by the power of the Presidency. Since the 19th Amendment to the Constitution is all about the powers of the Executive Presidency, it is not an amendment which brings about a political solution to the national problem. It is with the view that there needs to be some change in the way that this country should move forward that we support this.
Until உள்ள போக்கில் சில பல மாற்றங்கள் ஏற்பட வேண்டியது அத்தியாவசியம் என்ற அடிப்படையில் அந்த திருத்தத்தை
Maithripala Sirisena Mahatma Janatawa Jagrahane Kirilu.
President Maithripala Sirisena made the public victorious. He did this not with reducing the price of dal or wheat flour. It is by abolishing this executive presidency. The president will no longer be above the judiciary. The 18th Amendment to the Constitution will be abolished. Many things will come out of this. I think it is important that we work towards getting what is within our reach rather than aim for something that we will not get. If there are shortcomings, we should discuss them and approve it.
අඩුපාඩුකම් තියෙන සාකච්ඡා කරලා මේක සම්මත කරන්න.
Madhuru Abe Sobidithera noted that religious leaders and politicians will gather before Fort Railway Station tomorrow afternoon and force all public representatives who represent Parliament to render their support to adopting the 19th Amendment to the Constitution.
දින සඳුදා උදෑසන පෙරවරු 9ට පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ පක්ෂ නායක රැස්වීමක් කැඳවලා තියෙනවා.
Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. we have convened a party leaders meeting. During this meeting we will be holding a debate with regard to the proposed 19th Amendment. If a change or amendment needs to be made, then the President, Prime Minister and government representatives as well as the party leaders can put forth their recommendations and we will be able to reach a decision.
Meanwhile, views were expressed about the 19th Amendment to the Constitution on the Saturday political debate program telecast on our sister channel Sirsa TV last night.
When speaking of the executive presidency, we need to revisit the Republican Constitution of 1972. That was a nominal presidency. But the content of the 19th Amendment is that there must be a president elected by the people. An agreement was reached that the president's powers must be curtailed. The cabinet has presented a bill on how it should be curtailed. When looking at this bill, we see that in addition to the arbitrary powers of the president, certain powers have been given to the prime minister. The agreement was that only provisions that do not require a referendum will be adopted. The bill on the 19th Amendment has gone beyond that. I will not say that it has been done out of greed. The Supreme Court has decided that executive powers related to the sovereignty of the people must be exercised through the President. Our problem is this. The first reading is the gazetting of the bill. The second reading is the committee stage where changes and ideas can be discussed. In the third reading, when voting, we as MPs have a responsibility to ensure that any changes made during the committee stage are not in violation of the Constitution.
මහජන නියෝජිතය හැටියට අපට වගකීමක් තියෙනවා ඉදිරිපත් කරන කමිටි ස්ටේජ් එකේ ඉදිරිපත් කරන ඕනෑම සංශෝධනයක් හෝ අදහසක් ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවට පටහැනි නොවිය යුතුයි කියන්නේ.
Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca says the 19th Amendment will not be a solitary solution to all problems faced in the country. He was speaking at an event held in Mathura.
අද රට හිර වෙලා තියෙනවා එක තැනක.
The country is stuck in one place today and cannot be shaken. When you look at the papers, they all speak of the 19th and the 20th, or the 20th and then the 19th. That is all. Even if both are passed, our stomachs will not be full. Even if both are passed, the people will not be able to eat or drink. Your domestic problems will not be resolved. Also, the culture we spoke of to the people of this country will not arise through the 19th and 20th Amendments. We are speaking of a culture free of corruption. We are not speaking of a culture that will see to the welfare of all 20 million people. The UNP and the Beetle Leaf are saying work for their people and give them the vote. We can see this happening in the UNP. They have worked for 7,000 or 8,000 and given them their first chance in 20 years.
Now, what views do the public hold on the proposed 19th and 20th Amendments to the Constitution?
මතිවරණ ක්‍රමයක් එක්කම මේක වෙනස් වුණා නම් වඩාත්ම හොඳයි. ආනනේ නෙමෙයි විශ්වාරි කමන්නේ අපිට සිතක් වෙනවා නම් තමයි අපි කැමති. එහෙම එකක් දන්නවත් නැහැ හිලවත් නැහැ. හොඳක් වෙයි කියලා තමයි හිතන්නේ. ඒක නම් හොඳ දෙයක් වෙන්න ඕන දෙයක්.
මේ කට්ටියට වාසියට අදාළයි තමයි ඉතින්.
අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මේක සම්මත වෙන්න ඕනේ ඒක.
ඇත්තටම දැන් වෙන්න ඕනේ මේ මිනිසුන්ට ගොඩක් කල යුතු දේවල් තියෙනවා. ඒවා නම් සිදු වෙනවා බොහොම අඩුයි.
ඇත්තටම හොඳයි.
වැඩක් ඇති දෙයක් නෙමෙයි කියලා හිතෙනවා.
හොඳ පැත්තක් වෙයි කියලා හිතනවා.
ගෙනාවට ඔක වෙනතක් වුත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් පාර්ලිමේන්තු එකේ දැන් ඔක කේලිත එකක්වත් කෙරෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේකනේ වැඩි.
ඒක එන්න වෙන්නේ මොකද්ද කියලා හිතා ගන්න බෑ. රටට හොඳ දෙයක් වුණොත් හොඳයි.
ව්‍යවස්ථා සම්පූර්ණයට වැඩිය රටේ වෙන දේවල් සංවර්ධනය තමයි කරන්න ඕනේ.
18ට පස්සේ 19 තියනවා කියලා විතරයි දන්නේ. අපිට නම් ඒකත් අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නැහැ.
ඉලක්කම් වලින් නම් දන්නවා. නමුත් ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ අදම දේවල් අපි දන්නේ මොනවද කියලා.
The committee investigating the alleged Treasury bond scam at the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has concluded that there is no evidence to the effect that the CBSL Governor Arjuna Mahendran was directly involved in the process of accepting bids for the issue. However, the committee has also noted serious lapses on the part of Bank of Ceylon, through whom perpetual treasuries had routed an unusually large amount of bids for 30-year bonds.
Issuing a statement today, the Ministry of Policy Planning and Economic Affairs noted that the committee has made far-reaching recommendations to ensure transparency and better governance at the central bank. The three-member committee, comprising of attorneys at law Gamini Pitipana, Mahesh Kalugampitiya and Chandimal Mendes, had reportedly interviewed a large number of individuals, including the governor, officials from the central bank, primary dealers and Perpetual Treasuries Limited. The statement reads that the committee observed several deficiencies at the CBSL's public debt department, which handles all matters relating to servicing the domestic and foreign debt of the government. In its 19-page report, the committee noted that since the PDD is dealing with the most sensitive information of the government, a proper supervisory and monitoring mechanism has to be immediately implemented. However, the committee found that Arjuna Mahendran had no direct role in deciding to accept bids over and above the 1 billion rupees stipulated in the 30-year bond tender and accept up to 10 billion rupees. The PDD had projected the government's funding requirement at 13.55 billion rupees as at the 2nd of March 2015. The committee has observed that even though the minutes of the relevant monetary board meeting specifies to issue a 30-year bond, the monetary board, of which the governor is chairman, had not decided on the amount. The committee noted that while this exercise is vested with the PDD, the decision to accept the excess amount has been taken by the Tender Board Committee, of which the Governor of the Central Bank is not a member. Thereby, the committee has concluded that there is no direct evidence to the effect that Arjuna Mahendran had direct participation in the activities of the PDD and the Tender Board Committee. However, noting serious lapses on the part of the Bank of Ceylon, through which Perpetual Treasuries Limited had routed an unusually large amount of bids, the committee has observed that the bidding pattern of Perpetual Treasuries warrants further investigation. The committee has also noted that the Bank of Ceylon should carry out a forensic audit and seek explanations from its chief dealer and others on ad hoc decisions, risking a large amount of BOC funds involved in the 30-year bond transaction. The statement issued by the Ministry of Policy Planning and Economic Affairs raises several questions. 1. If the CBSL governor is not responsible for increasing the requirement to 10 billion rupees, then who at the Tender Board Committee should be held accountable? 2. If it was not the governor who informed Perpetual Treasuries of the increased requirement, then who was it?
He may not be solely responsible, but he is principally responsible. He is the governor of the central bank, and his son-in-law was the partner with whom the loot has been shared. He, as the head of the bank, cannot escape from the responsibility of having let this transaction, which that amounts to a fraud. I have no doubt. I believe the courts will adjudicate correctly when it goes before them. I hope that will be sooner than later.
No governor is ever single-handedly responsible for anything at the central bank, and we really don't need a committee to tell us that. The fact is, Arjuna Mahendran, as governor, has admitted to a failure. It is this failure that resulted in the interest rates going up very unusually. What matters is that the interest rates, which were in the single digit, in the range of approximately 9.5%, mysteriously became 12.5%, and it is only one company that benefited. It really doesn't matter whether Mr. Mahendran made a mistake and whether it was a genuine mistake or whether it was a mistake that he did on purpose to the benefit of others. The fact remains that Mr. Mahendran, as the head of the central bank, must really resign right now, because the losses to this country continue to grow each and every day.
After allegations surfaced in the media on the alleged Treasury bond scam, President Maithripala ordered on the 9th of March that a 3-member committee be appointed to investigate the matter. On the 10th of March, the Prime Minister's office issued a statement noting that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe had appointed a 3-member committee to inquire into the allegations.
මම දැක්කා දැනට කාල ආందోලනයකට තුඩුදී තිබෙන මහ බැංකුවේ මුදල් අනකර
I noticed in the news item that was broadcast a short while ago that 3 UNP lawyers have been appointed to investigate the controversial central bank bond issue. In truth, I see this as a farcical situation. On one hand, we saw that the President had yesterday ordered the appointment of a special investigative committee to investigate this matter because it was a highly technical financial fraud that had taken place. While 3 persons who have the technical expertise and an understanding of this matter should have been appointed to act on this, the United National Party has appointed 3 lawyers from the UNP-affiliated National Lawyers Association to investigate this matter. This is akin to getting the story from the rogue's mother.
මම දකින්නේ හොරාගේ අම්මගේ පේන අහන වගේ වැඩක් කියලා.
Speaking exclusively to Newsfirst on the 16th of March, CBSL Governor Arjuna Mahendran said that he takes responsibility for not informing primary dealers regarding the increased requirement.
But every time, Mr. Governor, there has been a treasury bond issue, there has been oversubscription, right?
Yes, but the point is, we don't... You see, my point is the knowledge that I had that the government needed the money was in the back of my mind, and my expectation was that we wouldn't have many bids at this auction, so we were going to look at other means of raising it.
So, Mr. Governor, there is a problem that persists with regard to the communication.
I agree. I mean, it's because the functioning of the market has not been perfect in the past. Now, in this instance, I think that communication didn't work properly. We should have said we needed to raise 10 billion, but of course we had advertised it the previous day, and I only got to know of the Treasury requirement on the Thursday. So there was miscommunication. I accept that.
The founding chairman of CSN, who currently holds the position of consultant at the company, was summoned to the Financial Crimes Investigation Division today. Our correspondent noted that interrogation, which commenced at 10 a.m., went on for a period of 3.5 hours. Rohan Valavita was questioned in relation to CSN. Speaking to media, Rohan Valavita noted that he was informed to appear at the Financial Crimes Investigation Division on the 21st.
They asked me as to how they started this organization, under what name and how were the board of directors appointed, who provided the finances to start this channel, how much was invested, and as the founding chairman, how much did I invest? I carried out my duties as chairman for a period of 2 months. That is why I was unable to recall many facts. This organization began due to an idea that I put forward. We utilized the data provided by Viz Broadcasting. There is an agreement between Viz Broadcasting and CSN. This was an agreement that I was aware of because the agreement was undertaken by me. We did not utilize any state property.
Issuing a statement, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa has said that he and his family do not hold any secret bank accounts in foreign banks.
The statement reads that some weeks ago the cabinet spokesman had told Reuters that a member of a leading family had $1,064 million in a secret account in Dubai. Rajapaksa states that in this era of heightened surveillance due to concerns over money laundering and terrorist funding, accounts with millions of dollars cannot be operated without attracting the attention of international regulatory authorities, and that if any such accounts existed, it is certainly not going to take this long to reveal their details.
Here with News First, and up next is a look at Action TV.
Venerable Watinapaha Somanandathera, who was coordinating secretary on Buddhist affairs to the former president and secretary of the SLFP-affiliated BIC organisation, was summoned to the police financial crimes investigation division yesterday. We distributed silk cloth among poor devotees in the recent past. They recorded a statement pertaining to this. They asked me to come at 8:30 in the morning and it just concluded. This is the result of good governance. The recent past that Somanandathera refers to is the campaign period for the concluded presidential election. The money for the distribution of the silk cloth came from the public and was not money that belonged to the Thero. The Elections Commissioner determined that such distribution of silk cloth was in violation of election laws and thereby took steps to prevent it. Nevertheless, the problem at hand is that Somanandathera, who enjoyed certain benefits in violation of good governance, continues to enjoy the same benefits under good governance. The blueprint to turn good governance on its head and grant a position to persons like Somanandathera was drawn up shortly after the conclusion of the 2010 presidential election. The Education Secretary at the time, who did not agree to this plan, was forced to resign from his position. The position conferred on Somanandathera was that of Assistant Director of Pirivena Education at the Ministry of Education. 6 positions to which qualified personnel from the Education Administration Service should have been appointed were conferred instead on 6 bhikkhus, including Somanandathera. According to the letter of appointment bearing the signature of the Education Secretary, all 6 were part of the Sri Lanka Teachers Service and not the Education Administration Service. The 6 bhikkhus, including Somanandathera, have not violated only one of the conditions imposed when they were granted their appointments. The condition is that they could only hold the position as long as they were bhikkhus. Since Somanandathera did not limit himself to only remaining an ascetic but also took to politics, he was elevated to the position of Director of Pirivena Education. Incidentally, this position should be held by a Grade 1 official of the Education Administrative Service. Given that positions he has held in the absence of good governance continue to be held by him even under good governance, is it not justified for Somanandathera to belittle good governance? Minister of Democratic Governance, over to you.
The time for a short commercial break, but before that, here's a look at what's coming up on the news tonight. Colorado daredevil risks life by attempting to beat a world record. Stay with News First for more of the action. Welcome back to the news. A tense situation arose during a New Year celebration in Maithripala, Alpitia. The police media spokesperson's office noted that 2 persons have been arrested in connection to the incident thus far. This New Year celebration was organized by a society in Maithripala, Alpitia, took place at a sports ground at the Kahadua Junction. It was during the New Year celebration that a tense situation arose between 2 parties. A group who left the ground at 7:30 p.m. returned to the grounds and assaulted the other party. Police state that a house and a store located in close proximity to the area was damaged as a result.
A group of thugs came here at around 4 in the afternoon and started assaulting all, both men and women. Police were here for about half an hour. We told them not to leave as the thugs may return, but they left. We were near the Aurudu festival ground. A group of about 15 to 20 came here. They assaulted all, including women and children. Then they left. They came back at around 7:30 and smashed our house and the shop at the junction.
Meanwhile, a group of area residents staged protests blocking the Alpatia-Maithripala road, expressing their anger over the incident. The Ambulanga DSP who arrived at the scene promised that he will look into the matter and serve justice. The police media spokesperson's office stated that 2 suspects were arrested subsequent to the protest. The police confiscated a motorcycle allegedly used by the suspects. Opposition leader of the Sri Jayawardhanapura Kotte Municipal Council, Sugata Puhami, alleges that plans are afoot to demolish the council building.
The building housing the Sri Jayawardhanapura Kotte Municipal Council was built in 1930 and has immense historical value. They are attempting to demolish the building and sell the land to someone else. A few days after his appointment, he spent 30 million on refurbishing the building. 2 years later, he is attempting to demolish the council building. While a proposal on the demolition of the building has been tabled in the council, it has been adopted. Although the opposition voted against the proposal, all ruling party members had supported it. It was revealed at this media briefing that plans have been made to construct the new municipal council building on a plot of land in the Valikade area. A sum of 12 million rupees has so far been paid for consultancy charges for the new council building. Normally, consultancy fees are 1.5%, but he is paying 7%. When we went to the Bribery and Corruption Commission, they said it would take 5 months. In 5 months, the thief would already have fled. We made inquiries from the mayor of Sri Jayawardenepura Kotte regarding the allegations levelled by the opposition. These accusations are blatant lies. I will definitely take legal action against this. Municipal councils cannot sell off lands. Not even a provincial council can sell off their lands. A proposal has been approved to initiate a project on land owned by the Kotte Municipal Council. We plan to conduct it with the Urban Development Authority. We cannot do what we want with it. No land is being sold as per their allegations.
A youth from Polonnaruwa is attempting to establish a world record by getting 40 tractors to be driven over his chest.
His name is Kale Pumal. He had excelled at karate as well as boxing since his childhood. He was mentored by A.G. Senaka Bandara to reach an international standard in his skills. He conducted a practice session today where 40 agriculture tractors were driven over his chest in a time period of 45 minutes in order to establish a world record. He only took 19 minutes and 59 seconds for this feat. We sincerely hope Pumal will be able to establish this record and enter our country's name in the Book of World Records.
In business news this evening, the price of crude oil imported by the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has increased in the month of February. A barrel of crude oil, which was imported at $55.47 in January, had increased to $69.52 in February.
According to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, since the prices of crude oil was reduced in the world market, crude oil imported by CPETCO has already reduced since last September. A barrel of crude oil imported for almost $111.21 in August last year has since reduced to $55.47 in January, a reduction of $55.74. CPETCO, taking advantage of the situation, reduced the prices of petrol by 33 rupees, diesel by 16 rupees, kerosene by 16 rupees and several other fuel prices on the 22nd of January. However, CBSL reports that CPETCO sold a barrel of crude oil in February after adding $14.05 to its imported price, as there was a possibility of a crude oil price increase in the world market during the last few weeks. Today, the price of a barrel of crude oil, which was sold at $47 in the world market in January, has increased to almost $60 per barrel.
Were you not aware of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution? 4 versions of it. They were not shared with people. So this type of secrecy. Why is the Prime Minister attempting to prune the powers of an elected executive president?
He knows he can't win it by election. And he's trying to smuggle himself in.
Also in local news, a woman's body has been found inside a storage room at a school in Colombo 4. The police media spokesperson's office noted that the woman was a janitor at the school and that the police suspect foul play. Her body was discovered after investigations were launched when she did not return home from work yesterday. The police added that the woman had sustained injuries on her face. The victim is a 44-year-old resident of Kiralapana. Here are some of the views expressed on the political stage.
When we talk about the 19th Amendment, this is something that we are giving to the country and not for ourselves. This is unfavorable for politics. The points which have been mentioned are unfavorable for political institutions. I am not saying that future leaders will work against Maithripala Sirisena, but we need to create a legal system that will not allow future leaders to work in an arbitrary manner. The reason as to why many incidents occurred in this country is due to the executive presidency. By introducing the 18th Amendment, they tried to bring in a dictatorship. Let us forget about this and join Maithripala Sirisena and the Prime Minister to take this country forward. It does not matter if they hold an election or not, but for some this election is important. What I observed over the past few years is that certain politicians who have not met these people face to face or looked into their needs have charged taxes from them this New Year season. If the elections do take place, then there will be people who will be those who will invade dansals in order to obtain votes.
The Citizens Power Organization says that all government representatives should support the 19th Amendment.
The organization made this statement at a media briefing convened today. This is not what we asked for. However, at this point in time, the 19th Amendment has been drafted and put forward in Parliament in a manner that it can be passed without a referendum. In the 19th Amendment, it has been mentioned that as per the 17th Amendment, commissions must be empowered. This is a very important point. When
we look at Maithripala Sirisena's manifesto, it has been mentioned that they will work towards abolishing the executive presidency and appoint independent commissions. I read it again and I do not see much of a difference. There are several issues when approving this bill. Citizens of our country are not foolish. Around 75% of those who fought against the executive presidency have now U-turned. Now they say that this should not be abolished. What must be kept? Must we keep something that we have been against all of this time? I would like to ask if this is a political trick. This is a political trick. Do not be fooled by this.
An individual was killed in the Hanguranketa area after being attacked by a wild elephant.
The victim, W.A. Vimaladasa, was a 56-year-old father of 3. He was attacked by a wild elephant at around 10:30 p.m. last night when he had gone to the field to protect the rice harvest. His body is currently lying at the Valapane District Hospital. The residents of the Lamusure Leenigala area in Hanguranketa charged that such incidents have been taking place due to improper supply of electricity for the fence.
1.16 million rupees was spent to erect this fence. However, it appears that there is no electricity passing through this fence. There is no such protection from wild elephant threats.
And in sports news, 7 Sri Lankans have been granted special licenses by the International Powerboat Association. Accordingly, they will be given the opportunity to participate in future international powerboating competitions.
A training camp organized by the International Powerboat Association and the Lanka Powerboat Association was held in Benthota. The training camp was inaugurated on the 9th under the auspices of the chief trainer of the International Powerboat Association, John Paddyfoot. The players were educated on the theoretical and practical aspects of the game. 7 Sri Lankans were allowed to participate in powerboat competitions, while the special license was granted after the training camp. The license grants the opportunity to organize powerboat competitions, to judge tournaments, participate in tournaments as well as train other players. Sri Lanka received membership of the International Powerboat Association 3 years ago. However, powerboat tournaments could not be held due to the lack of licenses.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of News First Weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great week ahead of you. Good night.